So after lunch, me and Ron decided to, go track that other cow. So this is probably about hour and a half, 2 hours after we shot her, or I shot her. But anyway, Ron was able to pick up the track just where he left off. And as I was walking up, I was pointing at different tracks, and he was saying like, "That's not the one. That's from last night. That's from yesterday." And he found one track, and he said, "This is the fresh track that's been hit." So I'm kind of thinking like, are you sure? Because there's no blood trail whatsoever. And he showed me that little dirt being kicking off, and he said that means this is one that was hurting pretty much. So he said when you see the dirt digging in a little deep, that means it's hurt. So again, I'm trusting, but at the same time I'm having my doubts. And after tracking it for about 300 to 400 yards, and we're talking about thick timber, it's not like a big tree, pine timber. I mean, this is like small pine trees where we sometimes have to actually crawl through it. So it's not easy, tracking it. But after about 300 yards, I saw one blood drop, and I said, "Oh my God, he's right." So like every 50 yards, we see one drop. So we keep tracking it, and pushing it to the timber, and we start seeing like 10 drops. And Ron said like, "This is a good sign. That means she's now finally started bleeding out." So, and then as we went over, and they did tell me the elk had this very particular smell, and once you smell it, you will never forget it. Which I had a good whiff of it when we field raced the first elk. So as we are coming over the like a slope, Ron said like there is a bedding area where there was quite a lot of blood, and as soon as he said that, I could have sworn I smelled the elk. So I told Ron, "I think I smell an elk," and he says, "Yeah." And then he started looking around, and he says, "Right there." And about 30 yards down, she was already dead, expired, laying there. So oh my God, that was a great feeling. But honestly, if you don't know what you're tracking, or if you don't know how to track elk, finding an elk could be really next to impossible, because like I say, they don't bleed. The second cow, she got hit pretty good, but I tell you, man, it takes more than a couple of legs to put them down. And you can see the dirt being kicked, so she's hurting. All right, so keep going at it. The bedding area right here, and then as soon as we said we could smell her, right there she lays, just about 20 yards away. Oh my God, we tracked the what? Good 600 yards, 700 yards in?
Yeah.
Probably further where she was shot.
Through heavy brush.
Yeah, and we could barely make a couple of drops. And I tell you one thing about the elks, they don't bleed a lot. Even though it was a good shot, they just keep on going for a while. All right, let's get to it. Woo-hoo! Yeah, baby!
Yeah, she was somewhere. She said that.
Mm-hmm. Huh. Yeah, you could smell right now. Get a good whiff of that elk. I'll never forget the smell of elk. I tell you. Oh man, she's even bigger. She's bigger, huh?
Could be.
Whew. Oh my God, look at the size of that girl. Yeah, you could tell I'm excited. Oh my God, she's big. I love you, girl. That's a huge cow. Woohoo! Yeah. Now if they butt it up, Marsh! That is a humongous cow. Oh my God. Yeah, that's how they do it here. And she's got a big old head. Man, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of meat. That's a lot of elk. Woo, woo. All right.
Yeah, no, he doesn't know me that well. No prison stint for this guy.
You will not believe this, but we got the whole elk on the card. Ain't that crazy? Oh, I also want to let you know I was shooting Christensen Mesa rifle in 7mm Remington Magnum, and using HMS ammunition in 168 grain burger bullet. And in my opinion, I think 7mm Remington Magnum is like a minimum for elk hunting. And you could see the review on the rifle and the ammunition on my channel as well. All right, this is how we shop in Montana.
Going to the meat market.
And the truck just gets smaller and smaller, I tell you. It's just shrunk in big size right there. Woo! All right, guys. There you go. After we got both cows out, the whole day was gone. And we had one cow hanging at Dave's house, and we had one hanging at Ron's house. And we decided to take one day off. And on Sunday, we all got together at Dave's house and start to butcher those cows. And I tell you, man, it made it so much easier to have friends in Montana where they were grateful enough to let you use it, use their house to put, to butcher and take care of it and process it. I couldn't imagine processing that kind of elk in the, open field, because that would have been a nightmare for me, because size of that elk and trying to work on it, it was not easy. I mean, it was way more than what I thought. And honestly, I read it somewhere, they're saying the people who try to hunt an elk, their first elk would average takes about 5 years to get the first one. But having so much knowledge with Ron and Dave was very, very helpful. Actually, it made it possible for me to actually have the successful hunt on my first elk hunt, and I am very grateful. And to top it all off, they were graceful enough to let me have the whole cow, and they were going to split the other cow elk. So thank you guys, and I'm truly gonna enjoy it. And again, I appreciate everything you guys did for me. I gotta tell you, Ron and Dave, they're a couple of great guys. They're mild-mannered, really, really funny. I mean, we shared funniest real-life stories. We laughed so hard. And matter of fact, I think we laughed about 80% of our conversation. And I haven't had that many fun since I was in high school. So thank you guys. And also, they're a couple of great hunters. In fact, Ron taught Dave how to hunt when he was 40 years old, and he got his first deer. And just like us, we got hooked, or he got hooked, and the rest is a history. Anyway, Dave, I want you to know that we'll be keeping you in our prayer for a successful hip replacement surgery that's coming up in about 3 months. And you already got your knee replaced, so next year you're gonna be a bionic man, and it's gonna be a bionic man versus wild horse. I'd like to see that next year. You got it?
Not yet. As soon as
Got it?
yeah, okay.
Alrighty. So there's 2 front quarters. Woo! Humongous. Alright, gonna try the back strap. Shoot.
Yeah. Elk Butte. Yeah, Elk Butte. We went around that. And I thought,
Look at that, and that's not even the whole back strap. Yep.
Yeah.
Wait till you guys are ready. 'Cause you gotta,
Oh, that's such a full tail.
Sky, you have got to stay out of the way, bud.
Yeah, Sky.
I love you, but stay out of the way. I don't want you getting hurt. I don't want you getting anybody else hurt. Okay? That's all. I just don't want anybody getting hurt.
I brought a knife here.
Okay, so you guys are gonna work on that?
Mm-hmm.
You're good there? I'm gonna work on this deer.
All right, and that's just the
That's why
upper quarters.
Sure.
That's not
Yeah.
including the hind quarters, because the hind quarters still hanging there. Oh my God, that's at least 4 deer right there. Comparison between the hind quarter of an elk and a Montana muley. And they're not a small deer, but look at that thing. That's at least 5 times bigger.
Yeah.
And weight-wise,
Oh, yeah.
oh, crazy. Now you know. Now, you cannot appreciate how big the elk is unless you actually see one. And this full-size cow, what they're telling me was probably about 70 pounds before he was field dressed and have their neck and head replaced and have their legs cut off. But by the time we were dragging it out, it was about 500 pounds. And I bought this cooler right here. You can see that's the biggest cooler that I could find at Home Depot for $99. I know it's not like a grizzly proof cooler, but I didn't really feel like spending $670 on a cooler because I knew I'd be staying at the motel every night, so I could just refill the ices anyway. That's like 150 cold. It's humongous, and I thought if I debone the elk, I might even be able to feed 2 elk in there. Think again, 1 elk with some ice was completely filled. We couldn't even lift the cooler, so all 3 of us was like bending our knees to lift it up and get it in this car. So I'm telling you, man, that's a good meat. There's a lot of good meat. When I say these cows are big, I mean, shit, I heard the cracking like, they're big. I don't want to get hit here. Now, I also want to thank Larry for letting me shoot at his farm, because when Ron told me I need to practice out to 500 yards, I wasn't sure if that was really necessary, but Larry took me out to his farm and I was able to shoot out to 500 yards, and I was hitting the on the target every time. It really gave me confidence. And what's really funny is that the second shot I made on the cow was about 5 to 550. So when I pulled the trigger, I was really confident about the shot, and sure enough, that cow took the second shot. So again, thank you, Larry. One of the best part of going back home headed east is we get to see the sunrise. Look at that beautiful sun coming up, and having the elk inside just makes it so much better. I'm sorry I couldn't bring you more footage and can't share the specific location, but first of all, I was on a survival mode for 8 days, so getting the camera out and running and filming just was not possible. And the second of all, I really can't share the specific location because it's not mine to share with you, but I could tell you that it was in East Montana. And again, I was a little concerned about my wife getting bored and not really enjoying herself, because she was there by herself for 10 days or so while I was hunting. But she really enjoyed it. She went to different towns and she really learned the history of Montana, and she actually told me she enjoyed it, and she doesn't mind coming back if I get lucky again. So yes, I'm gonna apply for it every year. And lastly, I also want to thank Ron again for all his knowledge, and also using his truck, because oh my god, the roads out there is crazy. Ron is driving through the roads where I would even walk on, and a lot of times I was concerned if we might get stuck, but he has that high rise truck that goes everywhere, and he knew exactly when to give a gas, when to chug along, when to climb. So he knows how to drive these hills, and he's been doing it since he was so little. So I thank God for his truck and his knowledge on off-road driving. Now driving back home and looking back, I realized what made this trip so special was the friendship, and my wife was supporting me, and the elk was just the icing on the cake, well, big icing on the cake. And lastly, like always, thank God for what you have, enjoy your life with what you got, but mostly thank God for the friends and your wife and the opportunities that we have in this country to hunt. See you.